Barriss Offee, member of the Jedi Order and traitor.
Welcome to Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy. The Book of Boba Fett Episode 6 left us with a huge question.
Which do you choose?
Okay, two huge questions. Besides which path Grogu will choose, we want to know who originally saved him from the Jedi Temple. Now, in our Easter egg video, we threw out a few theories, such as Mace Windu, or it could be more obscure Jedi, like Luminara Unduli, or her former padawan, Barriss Offee. But it's actually looking like our last guess, Barriss Offee, might have been correct. This character has been around since 2002 in Attack of the Clones, and she was a key figure in the Clone Wars series. But more importantly, this could have a major effect on the live-action Ahsoka series. So, what's our evidence? In Grogu's traumatic flashback, we can see a Jedi crest right here. Now, in the Clone Wars animated series, we learn that many Jedi all have their personal crest that they use to adorn their quarters. This is Yoda's, and we see it in several episodes. This particular crest has only ever appeared once before, in the most pivotal episode of Clone Wars, The Wrong Jedi. And the crest appeared in the quarters of one Barriss Offee. Now, I'm going to explain who Barriss Offee is, why I think this theory is correct, and how it's going to affect Ahsoka. So first, let me give you a brief recap on who Barriss Offee is. Spoilers for Clone Wars are ahead, but I mean, you already know how the Clone Wars end, right? So, like I said, Barriss first appeared in Attack of the Clones right here. That's her master, Luminara Unduli, who you might remember as this dead Jedi from Rebels. Now, you'll notice that both she and her master wear these diamond patterns on their faces, the same pattern that was adapted into her crest. Barriss fought in the Battle of Geonosis, and she saw a lot of combat during the Clone Wars, but her heart was never really in it. She preferred to stay in the temple library, studying old Jedi texts. So, the galactic-wide violence of the Clone Wars was traumatizing for Barriss Offee.
Kill me, please.
And this led her to change galactic history forever. So one thing you really don't get from the movies is how much the Jedi Order was altered by the Clone Wars. For hundreds of years, the Jedi were police and diplomats, and every planet had their own private military defense. Remember, Mace Windu even said,
"We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers."
And Qui-Gon said,
"I can't fight a war for you."
Then, the events on Geonosis forced the Jedi into the roles of military commanders.
Around the survivors, a perimeter create.
This caused many Jedi to die. I mean, just notice how many chairs are missing after the Battle of Geonosis. But also, the war made the Jedi susceptible to the dark side. It's one of the reasons they didn't see Darth Sidious coming.
Clouded by the dark side. These things are.
As an example of the war affecting Jedi for the worse, one Jedi named Pong Krell stopped valuing the lives of his clones.
I find it very interesting, Captain, that you are able to recognize the value of honor for a clone.
And eventually, he fell to the dark side.
You've all been my pawns.
Eventually, the war made the Jedi into galactic nationalists. They stopped serving the Force and saw themselves as the servants of the government.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
In one of the best episodes of the Clone Wars, The Wrong Jedi, the Council even worries about how they will appear politically if they oppose the wishes of the military.
If the Council does as you suggest, it could be seen as an act of opposition to the Senate.
The Jedi became single-minded about winning the war and never questioned why they were fighting. Now, we have a video coming out tomorrow about why Yoda was wrong, where we point out that the Jedi never sought peace with the Separatists. I mean, Padme did. The Jedi also learned that Dooku commissioned the creation of the clone army and that the clones had chips in their heads that programmed them to kill Jedi.
Good soldiers follow orders.
So what was the Jedi's reaction to that?
Our enemy created an army for us. Cover up this discovery. We must. Valiant men the clones have proven to be.
So why turn a blind eye? Because the Jedi became bellicose and only cared about winning the war.
Sometimes I wonder what's happening to the Jedi Order. I think this war is destroying the principles of the Republic.
Now consider this to the Jedi who lived during the High Republic. In the first book, the Jedi had to take a vote on whether or not to add their own starfighters to a large Republic attack force. In the old days, the Jedi were servants of the Force, not servants of politicians. So back to the Clone Wars and the declining Jedi Order. Barriss Offee did everything by the book, a big contract to Ahsoka's devil-may-care approach to warfare.
We have to find another way.
We don't have time. This direction is the fastest.
Maybe you're wrong.
But the two of them became friends, especially after Ahsoka's approach to warfare saves Barriss's life.
I don't know what to do without the bombs.
Well, This tank could destroy the power generator.
Now, the war was especially hard for a gentle person like Barriss, who once watched General Grievous torture a Jedi. This made her lose faith in the Jedi Order and struggle with her emotions.
Ahsoka, have you ever wondered if it was right to ignore your emotions?
Then came the key event, one of the most important events in galactic history that led directly to the fall of Anakin Skywalker and the extinction of the Jedi Order. Barriss colluded with an anti-war activist to bomb the Jedi Temple in an attempt to turn public opinion against the Jedi. But she framed her friend Ahsoka for the crime. The Republic military, led by Tarkin, you know, this guy, demanded that she be expelled from the Order and stand trial by the government. And the Jedi Council gave in to these political demands.
I'm afraid we have little choice.
And of course, Anakin Skywalker was just sticking up for his padawan, Ahsoka.
You've already made your decision, haven't you? This meeting is just a formality.
Who was promptly expelled from the Order.
And whatever punishment they will set for you.
Now, up until this moment, Ahsoka was very much yay, Team Jedi.
The values of the Jedi are sacred to me.
But afterwards, she became disillusioned.
I thought I was part of that order, but everyone except Anakin has abandoned me.
Anakin eventually works out that Barriss was the one who was actually behind the bombing.
There's only one way to find out.
And in this scene, we can see Barriss's crest. Then she's brought to trial and spits some hard facts.
That the Jedi are the ones responsible for this war. An army fighting for the dark side. Fallen from the light that we once held so dear.
And that is the last time we see Barriss Offee. Later, the Council offers to reinstate Ahsoka, and her answer shocks Anakin.
I'm sorry, Master, but I'm not coming back.
So she walks away from the Order, making Anakin distrust the Council further, which leads straight into his attitude in Revenge of the Sith.
I've just been so frustrated with the Council. How can you be on the Council and not be a master?
So, Barriss Offee ended up being one of the most consequential Jedi of the Clone Wars, and we haven't seen or heard anything of her since this episode. Until now. So before I go on, I should say that it's not confirmed that this crest belongs to Barriss, and there's also this weird conspiracy aspect to all of this. First of all, both The Wrong Jedi and this episode were written and directed by Dave Filoni. Now Filoni comes from animation, where everything placed in a frame was planned to be there, so it's highly unlikely that this is just a mistake. He directly wanted to connect this moment to Barriss Offee. And here's the really weird part. On Wikipedia, which is an independent site, not run by Lucasfilm, this symbol was originally identified as Barriss Offee's crest. But then, after this theory leaked out, the crest entry was mysteriously altered to read, Unidentified Crest. Is this a coincidence? Or is there something else at play here? I sense a plot to undermine the editorial independence of Wikipedia. But seriously, let's ask ourselves why this crest could connect to Grogu in that moment. Well, let me offer up a scenario for you. Barriss Offee is held captive in a Republic cell, or maybe she was imprisoned in her old quarters. Order 66 is initiated and her guards come to kill her. She escapes and then heads for the temple. She can sense what's happening and she wants to help. Maybe she realized that she was incredibly wrong about the Jedi, or that she was incredibly right. So she would want to help out these younglings. Remember, she's not evil, she just believed the war was wrong and the Jedi were on a dark path. Maybe she even had a vision of Order 66 because she didn't have the dark side to cloud her vision like the other Jedi. So she would have known what was coming and was prepared to escape. So like I said, she wants to go to the temple to save the younglings. Maybe she even had a particular affinity for Grogu. I mean, who doesn't?
I would like to see the baby.
So she goes to her old quarters, which were maybe next to where Grogu lived. She gets Grogu off of Coruscant, but then tries to get him as far away from the twisted Jedi Order as possible. Remember, at this point, she is not a friend of the Order. Maybe she even erases his memory, as Ahsoka implied.
Then his memory becomes dark.
So let's just assume for a moment that this theory is true, and that 25 years after the Clone Wars, Barriss Offee is still running around the galaxy. In that case, she has to appear in the Ahsoka TV series. Barriss was Ahsoka's best friend. They fought together, learned from one another. Barriss used to be by the book until she started hanging out with Ahsoka, who bent the rules to get results.
Let's just say that they have a penchant for playing loose with regulations and rules of command.
But most importantly, Barriss framing Ahsoka in her final speech made Ahsoka walk away from the Jedi path forever. She has no interest in rebuilding the Jedi Order. In the show Star Wars Rebels, she refuses to help Kanan train Ezra. And in The Mandalorian, she refuses to train Grogu.
You cannot train him.
She doesn't stay at Luke's Jedi Temple, and her lightsabers remain pure white, not the typical Jedi colors, because she is on her own path. Ahsoka's become the cool outsider, kind of like Doc Holliday. She's alright with Luke starting a Jedi Temple, just like Doc was alright with Wyatt being a Marshal. But Doc was never deputized, and Ahsoka will never be a Jedi. I think that for decades, Ahsoka has been haunted by Barriss' speech, because, in hindsight, she knows she was right.
The Jedi are the ones responsible for this war. That we've so lost our way that we have become villains in this conflict.
So when these two inevitably meet again, I wonder if it will be as adversaries or if they will have reached a kind of new understanding. They both think of the Jedi Order as a failure, and in a way, they've become like the old Wayseekers in the High Republic days. Those were Jedi who didn't take orders from the Temple. They follow their own path through the Force. Or maybe Barriss really has just spent decades falling to the dark side and she's learned the ways of the Sith. There's a lot of rich backstory to explore that could also tell us a lot more about these nuances of the Force. Maybe Ahsoka and Barriss will be two great Force users, who decades later will instruct Rey how to create a stronger new Jedi Order. A Jedi Order that's open to attachment, and can maybe last longer than a couple decades. But that's just my thoughts on the theory. Let me know yours in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.